Hello everyone, myself Pratik. Today welcome you all for my YouTube channel. Today we shall do a Docker host setup actually. So previously what we did was we deployed an artifact onto the Tomcat server. So if you watch the previous video, you want to know how we set up the Tomcat server and how we set up the Jenkins job to integrate with the Tomcat servers to deploy our source code from a WAR file. So if you're gonna access it, it will be visible like this. Okay. So after this, these are all some Git commands so that you can use whenever you want to do a Git commit from your local computer. So after that, it's going to build trigger will happen in the Jenkins automatically whenever any commit in GitHub. So in this video we're going to do a Docker host setup. So in this I mentioned to set up the Linux EC2 instance actually. So if you want to set up the Linux EC2 instance, you can set it up. Otherwise you can use like my in this repository CI/CD build -Kubernetes. In this there is a folder called Docker. So let me go back. So this is the Docker folder. So where you can go here and you can search for the Docker TF. So Docker TF, what is going to, this is the terraform script. So where you can take this script. So in this, the actual startup script is also mentioned here. So it will be auto setup is going to happen. What we did for Tomcat server, you can use it in GCP actually, GCP cloud. This is the terraform script which is used for GCP cloud. You can go and uh, execute this script in cloud shell if you have your GCP account. So otherwise, if you have a virtual box installed, if you have a CentOS machine, so what you can do, you can this is the script which you can take and which you can execute in CentOS machine. So first command is a sudo install and all. So presently in this video I am using Ubuntu actually. I am not using CentOS for installing a Docker host. So since the Ubuntu is one of the preferred method for installing for some of the users, I'm using Ubuntu actually. So Ubuntu, if you want to use Ubuntu, so next you want to set up a virtual box. So after in the virtual box, you have to click on add, and you can use no, click on new, and you can name it as a Docker host and Ansible host. So I'm using this virtual box Ubuntu machine for two of the cases, Ansible and Docker. I'm installing Ansible and Docker in this uh, virtual machine itself. So you can give like a Docker host. So and you can select the preferred location. So and you can select select the ISO image where you can able to select the desktop version Ubuntu 22.4 actually, and you can able to click on next, and it's going to install after this. So since I've already installed, so I am just going with the installed Ubuntu. So once after you installed, you have to provide your password which you entered during the VM creation. So this is a machine. So first let's see about what is an IP which it is getting. IP. So it's getting an IP of 10.0.2.15. So this is a NAT IP, means it is in NAT, means the adapter which is adopted is NAT actually. So we have to go here and click on settings, and in the network, instead of NAT you have to select the bridge option. So you need not to do anything below this, leave it as it is and click on OK. So once you click on OK, you should be getting an IP from your local home machine. So still it is not getting IP actually. See, now the IP has been taken from the your home server, home router actually. So you got an IP. So the next thing which you want to do after getting an IP is uh, you have to set this. You have to install Docker actually. Before that, I am going for install updating this machine. So what is an error which you are getting is that Prithvi is not in the sudoers file. Incident will be reported. So this is the first thing which you're gonna get. So if you want to log in as a root user, so it's going to ask for a password. So since the password is the previous password which you have, so you can use that password to log in into that root password. To what you can do by logging into the root, actually you have to add the permission for the user Prithvi to execute this commands. So for that, what you can do is that, so you can use user mod hyphen a G. So sudo is a group. I'm adding uh, Prithvi user to the sudo's group. So next the username. So now let's check. So see the user Prithvi is in sudo's group. So this is the sudo's group where you can able to see that. So you can exit from root actually, Control L. So you can install. You can start installing Docker now. It is going to ask for the password. So the main reason is that once after you done a modification, you have to reboot it. So that's one of the real issue. So that let's do reboot. So once after the reboot is completed, so we can able to execute the commands as a root privileges what we set for the user Prithvi. So now sudo apt update. So now it started working. So the previous changes which we done for the modification which we done for the user Prithvi, so that has taken an effect. Now it started updating. It's going to take some time for updating. So since so now the update is completed. So the next thing which you want to do is that you have to install a Docker engine. So if you want to install a Docker in CentOS machine, you can go for docker setup.sh. So here it's going to set up a Docker, and it's going to run a Docker with the Tomcat latest, and it's going to run some commands like Docker exec into that machine, and it's going to do some changes to make it work. So in this video, we are not concentrating on how to install Docker in CentOS. We are concentrating on how to install Docker in Ubuntu machine. So for that, you can go for docker install.ubuntu.sh. So you can copy this uh, commands. This is the script to install a Docker in Ubuntu. This is the simple shell script. So where you can use for installing actually. This script only works for Ubuntu. It doesn't going to work for any kind of an other machine. So what you can able to do is that Let me check which directory we am in. So I'm in this directory. So let us go inside this directory and create one directory, script. So docker install. I'm creating this file and pasting the command. So Control X, Y, and enter. So now you have to give some execution permission for the file which you created. Now next you can run. So this shell script. So it's telling that please run this script from root only. So means that we have to run this script from the root actually. So what we can able to do is that login as a root. So and run the script. Now it started running the script. So it's going to first, what it's going to do is that I'll just extend. So let it complete first. So what it's doing is that, so first it's going to check whether it is a root user or not. So if it is a root user, this script is going to execute. Next it's going to check if it is a Ubuntu machine or not. So if it is a Ubuntu machine, then it's going to execute. Otherwise, it's going to throw an error. It is not an Ubuntu machine, and it's, you have to be working the script with a Ubuntu machine, that only. So next, it's going to start installing the Ubuntu. Before that, it's going to remove any older version is there in the older version of Docker, and after removing it, so it's going to update. So and it's going to uh, install some certificates actually, and GPJ keys actually, and after that all the things. So it's going to start installing Docker engine inside in the uh, Ubuntu machine. So now it's still it's in progress. We have to wait for some time. So till it completes its Docker installation. So after it is completed, we could able to see the Docker status actually, whether it is running or not. So by this command, we can able to check whether the Docker is running inside the Ubuntu machine or not. So now Docker is installed successfully. So you're going to get a Docker installation successful on the Ansible Docker host. So this is the username. This is the name of the server, right? This is the host name which it is getting. So you can verify with the Docker systemctl status Docker. So let's verify by systemctl status Docker. By See, now the Docker is enabled and it is active and up and running actually. So now we could able to execute our Docker commands like a Docker ps. So to check the active containers, there is no containers which is running, and Docker image, should not see any images actually. No images is there currently. So we have to run the Tomcat server. So Docker run. So in the daemon mode, name, I'm giving the name for this is Tomcat. So and the port number is 8080. So this is the port which I am exposing. So the Tomcat server is running at 8080 Tomcat. So this is the image name, uh, Tomcat latest. So once we run this command, so it's going to check whether any images existing in the local machine. If it is not there, it's going to start pulling the image from the Docker hub. So let me go to the Docker hub. So this is the Docker Hub actually, where you can search for Docker Hub and you can able to go for this image. You can search here Tomcat. Latest. Uh, you can able to search for Tomcat. So this is the Tomcat. So when you can click on this, so it's going to pull the Tomcat actually. So which is the latest version. So let's see whether the Tomcat image is pulled or not. So once after it is completed, it will be up and running. So I'll going to resume the video once after the Docker container is up and running. Now it is currently is pulling the image. Now the Tomcat is running. So where you can search for Tom. So where you can do Docker PS. So you could able to see the Tomcat latest image it is using is the ID of the container which is running. So and the status is up about a minute. It's 1 minute ago it is up. So it is allowing any of the IP and it is running at port 8080 and this is the port which is exposing. This is the port which is the target port which is transferring and this is the name of the container. So next we can search for Docker PS also. Docker PS is over. Docker images. So here you should able to see the Tomcat. So the Tomcat image actually. So the next thing which you can do is that you can open uh, the browser. You can open the browser. Previously I just opened it. So when you search for localhost and 8080 port number, so you'll getting this error. So we shall fix this error. The error is we shall go inside that directory and let's check what is happening. So let's go inside the machine, inside the container. So to go into that, so docker exec IT means interactive mode. So and the name of the container. So and the shell script. Now you are inside the container. So these are the files. It is there inside the container. So whatever the configuration files which is there in which should be there in web apps directory. So when you check there is no files which is there in web app directory. So what so the files which is the file which is which contain right the Tomcat server, the Tom XML files, Tom users file, the Tom web page and all, nothing is there. So what we can able to do is that we can able to do like this. So the files which are there is in when you go to this directory, this is the directory. In this directory the all the files which should be there in web apps directory, which is it should be there in this directory. Rather than that which is there in this directory, we have to copy these files inside this web apps dot dist from to web apps directory. So the command to copy this actually is go back. So cp, so capital R recursively web apps, this is the directory, right? So all the file to so this directory. So once you enter this command, so let us go to web apps directory. Let's check. So see now all the files which is copied to this web app directory. So now let us go and check. Let us refresh this page. So now we should be able to see the home page of Tomcat server. So how to fix this issue? So we can fix this issue by building a Docker file. So we can use the existing image itself to set up. So this is the, you can able to see the Docker latest in this. Uh, this is the command we are pulling the Tomcat latest image. So run means we are running the command to copy recursively from this repository, from this directory to user local Tomcat web apps directory. So uh, after that, so we are after that we are building means we are copying .war file to web apps directory. Means this is for building an artifact. So presently now we just copy only this part and we shall build one image actually. So now we shall exit from this. Now we have exited. So in this current directory where I'm creating a Docker file. So insert, so Control X, Control Y. So after this, what we can able to do is that we have to build actually Docker build -t. So next the name of the image which we want to give, Tomcat v1. This is the tag which I am giving, and this is which we are creating. A dot means it is, we have to look for the Docker file which is there in the current directory. So click enter. So it started building. It started building. So now the Docker build process is completed. So let's check uh, Docker images. So you should be having two images. One is Tomcat latest, which we pulled from the Docker Hub. So Tomcat v1, which we created now. So now what shall we do is that we shall run this container Docker run in the daemon mode. Name Tom name which I'm giving is Tomcat uh, hyphen v1. So next the image name which we, next the port number, the port number is 8080. So since we already given the port number for other container which is running on port 8080, so we should give port 8081. Next the image Tomcat v1. So now it is going to pull the Tomcat image v1 and it's going to run actually. So it is so fast because it is taking the image from locally. That's the reason. Previously it is pulled from the Docker Hub. Let's check Docker ps. So now two of the container is up and running. It is running from before from 15 seconds. Let's go here. Let's open in another terminal. Localhost 8081. So when you enter this, so you should be able to see the default page of Tomcat server. So since we downloaded the file which was there in webapps.dist to webapps directory, so it is working perfectly fine. So now the issue is fixed. uh, Now this is an image which is required to deploy our artifact to container. So in the next video, I just want to tell you, we will just do an integration with the Docker host which we created, right? So now the Docker setup is completed, and I just explained you about how Docker file I have created. So this is the command. So we just created a Docker file with this the help. In the next video we shall integrate with the Jenkins. We shall integrate with the Jenkins, and we shall integrate this with the Jenkins, and we shall create the Docker file and the Docker image, the new Docker image which we're going to create. So presently, what you can able to do is that go inside the Ubuntu machine, and you you stop the containers which is running, that because it's going to cause it's going to be the problem when you are running the container from the Jenkins. So there are no Docker container is running, there are no Docker images is there. I'm going to show you, I'm going to integrate the Docker with the Jenkins. So next, after that, you just add the users and all, and we just run the Tomcat server in Docker host without any kind of a manual intervention. We just do it with automatically. How to do that in the next video? I will going to demonstrate you guys.